I have an S-Corp for my distribution business, can I form a C-Corp for my manufacturing business? That's right.
Well, my question would be why? Why would you want to
Okay.
make it up that way? I mean, you can do whatever you want to do, but there has to be a reason, a good reason for doing it that way.
Okay.
Yeah, because I don't like just sitting here and thinking about it. I don't really see the benefit of that unless there's. But of course, I don't know your situation, so I can't say that for sure. But just generally speaking, I don't necessarily see the benefit.
And I will say that, because I've been kind of watching the questions, I will say that that question came up when you were talking about the need for being a C-Corp for funding.
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
Right,
So
I think of that.
that's probably the line of thought, because that's when that question came into the chat.
Mm.
Right. Now, he said C for manufacturing, and what was the S for again? I forgot.
S-Corp is distribution, and then C-Corp would be manufacturing.
Okay, distribution and manufacturing. Okay. Well, that's a good question, because yeah, those are two different businesses.
Mm-hmm.
They're two different business types. So you would need two entities, or you can have a parent and then subs. If you want to keep your accounting simple, then you can have a parent company and then you can have subs where you're breaking up the two, because distribution and manufacturing are two totally different types of businesses. So they will require two different treatments. However, you can create a parent and then have your subs for tax and accounting purposes, to make things a lot easier and not as expensive where you're breaking things up. So, but you have to sort of, you would want to sit down and speak with an accountant to see if, based upon what you're actually doing and what your short and long-term goals are, if that makes sense.
Yeah, and Antoine said that the reason is to form a different name. So that might even be.
Well, you can have a different name. Like if you have a parent and a sub, they can have different EINs. They can have the same EIN. If they have the same EIN, then that has its own set of problems. If they have separate EINs, then the problems that you would have if they had the same EIN for liability purposes, you wouldn't have that same problem if they were separated. So it's very intricate. So you would need to speak with an accountant and an attorney for that particular question, because the attorney is going to advise you on the possible exposure that you may have in terms of legal, and then I would advise you, an accountant would advise you on your tax situation. And there are a lot of times that if you speak with an attorney and you speak with an accountant separately, I can tell you that there is going to be some, not conflicts, but the attorney looks at things strictly usually from a legal perspective. Okay, so when an accountant looks at things, we look at things from a tax perspective. And sometimes those two collide and it doesn't make sense. So, but you can find a middle ground, but you just have to, it's always best if you have an accountant who works with an attorney, because then they kind of understand each other and they know how, they can advise you together. So that way you get the best possible outcome for legal purposes, and also for tax planning and tax liability, tax credits, and all of that other stuff.